Hello and welcome to the Created to Create show. Today I have with me Chrissy Garwood. Welcome to the Created to Create show, Chrissy.
Hello, Michelle. Welcome from cold but sunny Tasmania.
All the way from Tassie. I'm glad it's sunny down there. It's beautiful down there when it's sunny and clear.
Yeah, it's 16 degrees.
Oh, that's so cold. Anyway, let's have a chat about your writing. So, when did you first want to write? Do you remember what sparked that interest?
I've always wanted to write. I've made up stories. I went to school at 6, so I was late getting to school, and Mum said I wrote my first sentence with a stick in the sand when I got home from school. It was a retelling of the Dick is a boy, Jane is a girl little story. And as I went through school, I invented all kinds of adventures for my characters. So I didn't spend my time writing stories about the kids in the class. I spent my time inventing adventures. And at some stage along the line, I got the idea that serious Christian adults didn't write fiction. And
Or
I
read it.
stopped.
I also took on board for many years that we weren't to be reading fiction as a Christian, which I'm so glad I got past that. Wow.
No, I was fortunate, lived near a bookshop, lived in an isolated community. So once a month, I went to the city to buy groceries, walked into the shop that I knew how to get to, and I'd spend $50 and I'd buy all the books that were on special and I'd take them home and share them with my Bible study group. So we read a lot of fiction, and then we got hit by Peretti, and that really rocked people a bit because it changes your worldview of what fiction is all about. I've always had trouble with nonfiction.
Mm, okay.
I really lose myself
Mm,
in fiction. C.S. Lewis is my favourite. I've
yeah.
just decorated my school door with a picture of a lion and a lamppost for book week.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's fun. It's a book week now, is
It's
it?
book week in Tasmania
Yeah,
next week.
right.
It's always book week, isn't it?
For my world, it is absolutely. So, can you tell me, Chrissy, how your personal journey has influenced your writing?
I identify as being neurodivergent. I've always felt like I'm a little bit different, and that came into play with the stories that I was inventing. My characters were always very complex. They had all kinds of things happen to them. I don't like unhappy endings. And when I was a teenager, it felt like everything was unhappy. So I've learnt to practice. So if I don't like the way the story's going, I'll just change it. I work as a school chaplain and I collect stories. So I don't have a filing cabinet. I don't keep a written list of who's talked to me in the year, the month, the week, the hour, the minute. But I carry their stories with me. So when I go into a new situation, I've got a whole back catalogue. I've been in Christian ministry since 1974, so that ages me a little bit. I was a teenager when I started. I'm not a teenager anymore. I've been a school chaplain since 2010. So
Mhm.
God headed me in a particular direction. And I use stories with the children that I work with. So I'll sit them down and I'll tell them a silly story from when I was little, or I'll tell them something that one of my kids did. And
Mm,
just lately I can say, and in the book that I'm just writing, I've got these naughty little flower girls who are causing all kinds of problems.
uh-huh. Yeah, so
So,
you can share parts of what you're writing as you learn stories from people.
yeah.
And how do you hold that tension between light and dark, the truth and the fiction as you're writing?
So being neurodivergent, everyone's a little bit different, but for me, I'm a rule keeper and I want to be seen as good. I want to be seen as accepted. If I make a mistake, or even worse, if someone decides I've made a mistake, it's like a tsunami and it just wipes me out. So I've got this striving for I'm going to be good, I'm going to be right. And through Christian fiction, that conflict is the difference between light and dark. So for me, there is you're in the light, everything's going really well, and any sign of shadow and you've lost it, you've been turfed out, you're gone. I did a uni degree, and one of the units that I did, 13 weeks of studying how to introduce light into nothing, into black. So we had a black piece of paper and we had to introduce light into it. We had to imagine we were in a cabin. So I spent 13 weeks
Mm.
getting my husband to park beside the road, turn the lights off in the middle of nowhere so that we could see what dark was like and how far away we could see the traffic, see the street lights. And
Fascinating. Wow.
but
Yeah.
I try to, that's in my books, that contrast between I want to be in the light and how you deal with the shadows. That's the tension in all my stories. So a lot of my stories, you've got a saint, someone that is trying so hard to be good and beating themselves up because they're not.
Hmm.
And then they meet somebody that's given up, not even trying to be good.
Hmm.
And the other person looks at them and thinks they're a saint. And that then causes all kinds of complications when the saint realizes that they're impacting somebody that the world's written off. It
Mm.
transforms both of them.
Right. Wow.
And you talk about truth.
Mm.
I write fiction.
Mm.
When people heard that I was writing, I had two very distinct reactions from people in my network.
Yeah.
Had somebody think I was writing something that was super spiritual and it was going to be edifying, is a good word to describe what they were expecting.
Hmm.
But the parents at the school that I was working thought I was going to write a self-help book for parents. And I said, I'm writing fiction. And they said, I don't care what you're writing. It's still going to be a self-help book for parents. And I go, right, I am now going to use a pen name. So this is my birth name. This is my maiden name.
Uh-huh.
So that people understand that the chaplain is not writing either a
Mm.
super spiritual book. And I'd written I just killed off a character. That's heartbreaking, but you kill off a character.
Hurts.
Um, and they go, where do you get the self-help in that? But I've
Yeah.
advanced now. I've got a creative writing group at school. Started off during COVID. Teacher said, I've got all these kids online. How about you do a creative writing group? What she failed to remember was that I had three of that class at school. There were seven kids in the entire school, and there were all these adults. So I spent my chaplaincy time following these three kids around, and they wrote their story in narrative as they walked around the playground. And we're
Wow.
now about to publish book seven in a series of anthologies about these kids. And I had this super character, super good, super saint. His name's Salamander, and he likes words that start with the letter S. And all the kids decided he was their enemy, and their entire purpose in life was to take him down. And watching the tension of that as the children, so they're all preteens,
Hmm.
the children explore this right and wrong, this truth
Hmm.
and fiction,
Hmm.
and they still throw in their friends so that you can go, oh, that character's that person. So they've got agent names. So Agent Blue Cheese sits in the classroom next to Agent Cheese, and both write terrible things that are going to happen to each other. And I go, just watching them do that, watching them, and I've had some super heavy conversations about life after death,
Hmm.
about cursing and deliberately hurting people.
Yeah. Mm.
That plays really well with my
Yes.
chaplaincy role.
So it's the middle grade type age group that you're writing for, Chrissy,
Um,
or
in Tassie, we go primary school up to grade six.
yeah.
So I've got 5, 6.
Hmm.
Had some younger kids whose brothers and sisters were in it that insisted that they join in, but I just don't have the hours that
Mm.
do them justice. So I've got 27 kids face to face once a week.
Hmm.
I started off, I had eight. Eight is manageable.
Yeah,
27
that's
is
a lot.
crazy. So
Mm.
when I was at school, I was crazy Christine,
Mhm.
and I'm living that. I'm living the dream.
Oh, too much fun. So, Chrissy, what are you working on at the moment?
I've just come out of a long season of not writing. So
Hmm.
in 2021, I published two end of series, two second last in a series books with and the next installment will be published in 2021. and I had a series of things happen, and I got to the point where I type a sentence, I delete it, I type a sentence, I delete it, and after a month I stopped,
Mm.
and I got better. I felt like God was saying to me, well, you can't write. How about you just type? So there was an old manuscript I wrote in 1989. I pulled out of the filing cabinet. It was 130,000 words long, hand typed. And I was a third of the way in before my brain kicked in. I thought, right, I'm right. So I wrote this billionaire's suspense novel and then told my authors, told my readers, there'll be book two. Because by the time I finish a story I already have, I've got 4 more stories lined up in that series.
Mhm.
So at the moment, I'm finally writing book two in that. But before I got to that, I came out of my season of not writing with 2 books that had to be written.
Mm.
So I finished my end of series, romantic suspense, the Saint and Sinner combination. That's with the editor. And I've also finished the end of a trilogy, young adult fantasy, because my kids at school wanted to read my books and they're going, I don't think so. So I wrote them a dragon shifter superhero type story with a girl who thinks she's nobody and wants to be invisible and turns out she's somebody. So I've
Mhm.
just written her final book. It's waiting in my inbox for me to click the little button and go, right, I can tackle publishing it now.
Yep.
And I've got waiting in the wings for young adult novellas that are a prequel to the
Mm.
series that I started in 2020. So
Coming
found
back.
when I
Hmm.
wrote my first book,
Hmm.
I didn't know I was writing a book. I thought I was just filling in time in my holidays.
Mm.
When I wrote my first book, by the time I'd finished the first manuscript and it was ready to publish, I'd already written the next 3 books and had the fourth one almost ready to go to the editor. So
Mm.
when I hit writer's block, it took everybody by surprise because I was queued, I was ready for a new book every 3 months, and I found I couldn't sustain it. Like God
Hmm.
knows what he's doing.
That's true. And I think I've had dry times too, and many authors do. And it's so it feels so good to come back to it again after a dry spell. So, everyone, thank you for watching. And if you haven't already hit the like and subscribe button, please do that now. I'm going to pop Chrissy's details below so that you can follow her too and find her incredible books. Chrissy, do you have any last words of wisdom to leave our wannabe writers or our up and coming authors out there?
Writing's supposed to be fun. And if you sit yourself down and the words aren't flowing, go and do something else. Make yourself a hot drink, get yourself a group of people that believe you're a writer. So I've got a girl that sits opposite the table with me in a cafe once a week, and we chat and we write. And I've got a group of readers that sit at a table in a completely different cafe, and we hold what we call book club. We spent 2 years of sitting my books in the middle of the table saying, Christine is a writer. She is going to write more. So get yourself a group, get yourself a selection of people that believe in what you're doing and have fun.
Hmm.
And if what you're trying to write doesn't work, start something else.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. So find yourself a group, find somebody who believes in you more than you do sometimes because it's a hard road being an author sometimes. And just give it a go. If
Yep.
it doesn't work, try again. Love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we shall see you all again next week.